Hanging out with John Nicotra again. This was recorded at the same time as the interview you guys got on Thursday, but we held off on a couple of days here. This is more of a personal interview and one that John and I each have a different connection to at this time. He had a health issue recently out on October 31st. He went out to the Mayo Clinic to get basically a checkup where they were going to start head to toe and go all the way through and do all that stuff that people our age go through. And they found a problem on the Thursday, and we're going to talk about what that's like. But before we get going, John, I first got to thank you for one thing. My dad just went in for angioplasty day before yesterday, and John was one of the first people I talked to about it, and I talk to him every day. So first of all, I want to thank you for your encouragement.
Anytime, man.
And everything.
I did the same thing. I called people that I knew had been through what I was getting ready to go through, and they were very helpful. So
I appreciate that. Thank you. So did you know that you had a problem? Because, again, he did the actual bypass surgery, the open heart surgery. Was it 4 weeks ago today? Or
on Tuesday, it was 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so 4 weeks and a couple of days.
Yeah.
Did you have a feeling something was wrong?
I really didn't have I didn't know that I had anything wrong. I was really just going out there for a checkup. And, I did the endoscopy for heartburn and the colonoscopy I was due. And they do everything out there, this executive deal. Chip Ganassi got me hooked up out there with like one of the head people, I met at the Indy 500 with him, and I had to take advantage of it. This was in 2015. And then, so I kind of got in the system, and thanks to him, I went back again for another executive deal, and they found this, and they tried to fix it on, after the treadmill test. I failed it.
And this was Thursday. This was 3 days later when they got to that
on
part.
Thursday, which was the last day that I was supposed to be there. I had an abnormal stress test. So Friday morning, they tried angioplasty to do maybe a stent or whatever, and they didn't like what they saw as far as fixing it with a stent, and it needed more. So Friday afternoon, I met with the next guy, and he set up open heart surgery for Tuesday.
Wow.
So 3 days later, it was nice because I had my sister and my girlfriend Heather fly in on Monday, so they were both there with me for the whole week that after the surgery and stuff.
So what was your reaction at first? Let's go right to the stress test. Did you kind of have a feeling something was wrong during the stress test?
Not really. I mean, they got a little bit of different stress tests out there. This is the second one I've done out there. And they hook you up. They take a bunch of pictures on a table. Then they tell you to get on the treadmill. But they tell you that when I tell you to get off that treadmill, you get back on that table in 1 second. And when I tell you to hold your breath, you hold your breath. And they take more pictures. Mm-hmm. So it's like a little different than what I've done at other places. But they didn't like what they saw. And, ultimately, they decided to do the quadruple bypass.
So they told you, okay, something's wrong. We're going to do the angioplasty guys, they go up your wrist, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I was awake during that.
Yes. My dad had the same thing, and he was awake. So did they tell you right then and there as they were doing that?
Yeah. He says, this is not going to work. He goes, when they came out of he told me, he goes, the one good news is, he goes, past the blockage, you have very good veins. So, I don't smoke. I don't drink.
Okay.
So I have,
there's no risk factor.
The veins are really good. Like if you were a smoker, I guess your veins can get brittle, and it might not work when they go to sew it up. It could break. Oh. The vein itself could be brittle. So, I knew that when Davey Hamilton got hurt and his veins was out on the track, and I spoke with the doctor later, and he told me he saw Davey's vein, and he said he looked at that vein out on the track, and he could tell right away that Davey wasn't a smoker. So evidently...
So don't smoke, guys.
Don't smoke.
Or try to quit. Okay.
Definitely.
It is going to make a difference. So obviously, because they did that on Friday, and then they didn't get to the open heart till Tuesday. Was it nerve-wracking those 3 days?
Well, it was, they sent me home with nitroglycerin tablets.
Oh, they sent you home?
They said, back to the hotel. Right. I was at a hotel.
Oh, no.
This is a hotel in and out. I stayed at the hotel. So they sent me home with nitroglycerin tablets. Says, don't go anywhere without these. I go, maybe we should do it Monday.
Yeah, should we do it tomorrow?
And then, unfortunately, that weekend, Joe Gibbs' son passed away.
Oh, that was that same weekend.
After his son, his grandson, and
tragic story.
Coy Gibbs.
Right after he won the championship.
Right after he won the event, the next night he went to bed. That night.
Yeah,
he went to bed that night and never woke up. So Of course, you're thinking of that and
course you
how
are.
sudden it can be and blah. And he was showing me on screen that I had, you got the Widowmaker, the Troublemaker, the Haymaker. You got them all.
And we're 95%, I think.
He said 90.
90.
And
okay.
then I did read the report. They sent a big, thick report after, and the report said 80.
Oh, 80.
But
okay.
you know what? Call it what you want. It was
Yes.
80 or 90. I mean, it was enough that they wanted to fix it.
Yeah, it's because they don't really know until they actually do get in there. That my dad was, they said 95, and then they said later 90, 70, 70. So, did you take any of the nitroglycerin pills?
No, I never had a problem.
Okay. But
Yeah.
you were making sure you were pretty darn relaxed.
Well, they
right?
said if you had a problem, take it. No, I never had a problem. I took it easy that weekend.
Okay. And obviously, unlike the angioplasty, you were out and out for a long time. I would imagine it's a long surgery.
Oh yeah, it was like 6-hour surgery.
Long.
And then I had a rough night in the first night in intensive care. I had a rough night, and so they kept. I told them I wasn't going to a regular room. I said, "You
Okay.
leave me here another day."
Okay.
I was just getting used to. I had everything hooked up, and it was a rough night that first night.
Did your heart ever lose rhythm or no?
No, I did go into the what are they?
AFib?
I did go into AFib, which is common after surgery, and they try to bring it back to normal with medicine.
Okay.
And they were doing that, and they had told me that, like, if it's not back to normal tomorrow, we're going to knock you out and shock you. But tomorrow it was back to normal.
So they didn't have to use the
I
paddles.
didn't have to do that, so I was thankful for that.
Must
It
have
came back on its own.
Must have again been an incredibly, unbelievably nerve-wracking night.
Well, I mean, it really, I wasn't scared. I mean, I knew I was in the best care that you
Here
could
at the
be
Mayo
in. I mean,
Clinic,
you either you win or lose, and you got to try to win.
That's true. So I've had several friends of mine who've gone through this. A close friend of mine, he said that chest, the physical pain is the toughest part in the next few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on the treadmill now for a mile and a half each day since Monday. I started Monday, so it took me 4 weeks to really feel like I could walk a little bit without running out of air. But the chest area is very painful.
Sneezing, laughing, coughing,
Sneezing
anything
or
like that,
trying to
right?
blow your nose or clear your throat or whatever. It's very painful.
So what was the first week like? Did you even do anything at all?
The first week
or-
I was in the hospital.
Oh, they kept you in.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
When did you get out then? How long?
I got
were you
out
in?
on. They let me out on Sunday afternoon. I was only in there like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 5 nights.
5 nights. Okay.
I went to the
After
hotel.
The procedure, yes.
I went to the hotel on Sunday afternoon. Monday, I went and saw my doctor that took care of me. Not the heart guy, but the one that oversaw everything.
Yeah, the general.
The
physician.
general
Oh,
guy.
that, yes.
And then Tuesday, I went home, and I want to thank Chip Ganassi. He sent the jet
Really?
and picked me up at Rochester, Minnesota, which is like 8 miles from the hotel I was at,
Oh, perfect.
and dropped me off in Fulton, which is about 10 miles. So that was, I had a 5-hour layover in Chicago if I went commercial. And, Chip said, no, he says, I'll send the
We're gonna
jet.
take
So,
care
I
of
mean, really, that made it. So we were here from Rochester, Minnesota to here, 1 hour and 38 minutes. We were in Fulton.
Fantastic.
So that was really, really made it doable.
About a minute and a half left. You told me you've already gotten a little better because I remember I talked to you last Thursday was the first time I talked to you, and you were on the treadmill a lot less than you were like today.
Yeah.
You were already seeing that much improvement. Huh?
Yeah. Well, I try to push myself, a little bit.
Which you should.
I watch my heart rate. I know what number they want, and I was trying to get it up there. And truthfully, I think it's working so good at the moment that it's hard to even get it up there because it's working so good that they wanted me at 91, and I can only get up to about 85, and I said that's good enough.
Good. So again, we want to encourage all you guys, because we've got less than a minute now. If you're feeling something, if you're out of breath, anything, and go online, go to these places and look for the symptoms. Don't hesitate would be your big advice, right, John?
Yeah, get checked out. If you find anything, you got a better chance of sticking around and making it to the next race.
My dad always said there ain't nothing that can't be fixed, and with the technology today, they'll fix it. You'll feel better. John, I'm so happy you're doing very well, and again, thank you so much for your time last week and keeping me calm.
Thanks for coming.
Hit the Bluey guys, subscribe, and learn more about the people who make this sport happen.